Hello, welcome to the Sunday Shale Show. My name is Mike Chansey, and today I'm joined by Rebecca Heimlich of API. Rebecca, thanks for joining us.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about you and your background and what led you to what you're doing today. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My background is I'm an attorney.
Okay.
And then I had some kids, and while I was theoretically a stay-at-home mom, I did politics, essentially. Okay. And then worked for a grassroots organization. And then a year ago, I had the opportunity to work for API, to do outreach for API. So I'm thrilled to be doing that.
Okay, well, very good. Well, tell us a little bit about what API is.
API is the American Petroleum Institute.
Okay.
We are a trade association that represents about 500 oil and natural gas companies. Also a standards organization. We have worldwide standards for both equipment and operations for the oil and natural gas industry.
Okay. What is your role in regards to what API does sort of nationally, internationally? How do you fit into that?
I do outreach right now specifically in Ohio.
Okay.
And what that means is I meet with elected officials, community leaders, other community groups and organizations, citizens. The goal is to answer people's questions about shale because in the oil and natural gas industry. Because even though it's been in Ohio for a long time, we've been producing oil for a long time in Ohio, hasn't necessarily been on people's radars. So now with the shale play, it is, and we just want to make sure that people get their questions answered, and to the extent we can help make them comfortable with the process.
Okay, that's good. How long have you been doing that now?
For about a year.
Have you seen the conversation change from a year ago to today? I mean, are you getting the same type of questions, same type of concerns, or has that conversation shifted all in that last year or so?
It shifted a little bit. I would say that as more people have become educated, we're getting fewer and fewer questions about hydraulic fracturing as a process. People are starting to understand that's something that's safe, something that's been done for a long time. Not to say that we don't get that question at all anymore, but sure. I would say that we get it less, and we're getting more questions about, now that this is coming, how is that going to impact my community?
Okay. Do you also get, on the regulation side and the safety side, do you also get a lot of the economic questions, jobs and investment, things of that nature?
Absolutely. The question is, how can we take advantage of this opportunity? What are the jobs going to be? Where can we be trained for the jobs? If I'm a company that wants to get involved in the supply chain, how can I do that?
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of folks in the supply chain want to get involved. So
right.
let's jump ahead to 2013 as we close out 2012. Where are some of the key areas that you as an individual and then you as API want to focus on here in Ohio? Either some of the topics or concerns or maybe some of the geographical areas. Where do you see yourself going into 2013?
Geographically, we see ourselves reaching out into mostly where the region where the shale play will be to make sure those folks really get the information that they need. And we want to reach out into, to communities and areas where we may not have talked with folks before and make sure that we want to look across the spectrum and make sure that we're hitting, not only elected officials, but also different groups, whether it be, Rotaries or sportsmen's groups
sure.
or farmers or some minority groups or maybe veterans. We just want to make sure that we look at in each of the communities who is the group that people listen to, who is the group that people are a part of, who has questions, and make sure that each of the constituencies that have a voice in that community, that we reach out to them and make sure that we touch base and answer any questions they may have.
Okay, well that makes sense. So like building coalitions, if
yes.
you will. What are some of the coalitions that you, in the last year or so, have you already developed? What are some very good partners of API?
Some great partners are EID.
Well, thank you. That's not where I was going with that. Outside of the industry, that's a good plug. Outside of the industry, what are some of the other folks that you've worked with?
We have built some really good coalitions with, for example, the plumbers and pipe fitters up in the Youngstown area. Also, some local chambers of commerce around the state. Operating engineers would be another one. There's we have a sister organization, the Buckeye Energy Forum. I know has built some good relationships with some of the veterans organizations. We've reached out to some of the NAACP groups, worked with them. A lot of the Tea Party groups also, and some of the more conservative groups, we are bipartisan though, and reaching out to. We reached out to the Black Caucus in the state legislature, and we're happy to meet with any group that wants to meet with us. But really, really good partners, I would say that also the Ohio Shale Coalition with the Ohio Chamber has been a really good partner of ours,
well,
too.
They obviously have a great message to tell us. This shale play may physically be in eastern Ohio, but the benefits are going to benefit all 88 counties and really the entire state.
So I would say in each of the communities that we go to, it is fair to say that business and labor are a big component of the groups that have become good partners of ours. And then in each of the communities, it depends on where you are, who the other community groups are that really are influential in that community, who you need to reach out to.
Okay, every community is going to be a little bit different. Now let's look at the other side of that coin. what are some of the groups that maybe I don't want to say they maybe disagree with you, but maybe want to push back a little bit? Some of the folks that may be more anti-development. I can assume you've run across some of those. And what are some of their concerns, and what are some of their messages, and really how do you work with them, and what do you do about them?
Well, I would say that what we find is there are a lot of people that just have legitimate questions. And then there are the groups that your group focuses on they don't like the oil and gas industry and probably never will. And so we try to stay in the arena where we're answering people's questions and let you guys stay in the arena.
Thank you. Again, great plug. Thank you for that.
Where you deal with the people who really are just trying to generate information in opposition to the oil and gas industry. So what we try to do is where we see those types of groups operating, we want to make sure that the decision makers in those communities and the leaders in those communities have the facts so that they can make their own decisions. We want to make sure that they know what the truth is, and so they can sort of cut through the clutter, some of the misinformation, and then have the correct facts.
That's good. So education through outreach, that's kind of your main objective,
yes.
through building these coalitions and partners and things in Ohio. Well, kind of, Rebecca, as we close out here, just a few more minutes, want to talk to you about, obviously we talked a little bit about 2013 and moving forward. We're very early in this shale play, and I'm sure that you've talked about that. I mean, as this ramps up and as more infrastructure is built, do you anticipate seeing some more challenges, and maybe what are those challenges, and what are you thinking about, talking about, and how do you address some of those, infrastructure challenges or economic challenges or maybe workforce challenges, coming the next year or two?
Well, coming up in the next couple of years, I think that both the infrastructure, we're seeing more pipelines being built, and so people are going to have questions about, I'm sure, about the safety of those pipelines, also about questions about leasing and that type of thing. So I'm sure we're going to start hearing more about the pipelines. With respect to workforce development, we've been getting those questions, and I'm sure we'll continue to get them. And I think that the project that the Ohio Oil and Gas Energy Education Program is working on to get information out about training programs and working with community colleges is going to be a big help in answering those questions.
Yep.
I do see that there are a lot of questions of companies that are trying to really get involved in the shale play and see how they can be a part of that. And so we've talked with both the Ohio Chamber and the Ohio Oil and Gas Association about doing some sort of supply chain events around the state to really let companies know, if you want to get involved, here are the things that you need to know. And also talked about API also has a certification program, so we've talked about doing some education on API certification across Ohio so that companies can understand that.
Oh, okay. Well, very good. That's what's so exciting about it. And the analogy is if this shale play was a baby, we'd just be learning to crawl. Or the baseball analogy is we'd be in the first inning. So we're very early in the play, and there's a lot more investment and workforce development to happen. And I think that's what's so exciting. As you move forward in that conversation and build those partners, I mean, it's going to be an opportunity for you to go out and do some more public speaking. So would you accept those? If someone were to see this and say, hey, we'd love to have Rebecca come out, I mean, if you give a presentation, what are some of the things that are in that talk that you would be able to give to folks?
Absolutely. Always happy to give a presentation and to tailor it to whatever information the group wants. And if I can't give the presentation, I will go find someone who is an expert who can. Okay. And but what I'd like to do is, in a more general presentation, is talk about the benefits of the oil and gas industry and how we can help power the economy and jobs and energy security right here in Ohio, how it's estimated that the shale play is going to create tens of thousands of jobs, how there's going to be billions of dollars of investment in Ohio. This is going to be something that's great for the whole state, and I really like to draw that picture and talk about how there are companies in Ohio from Dayton to Youngstown to Zanesville down to Cincinnati that are already benefiting, and how that and how some of the investment is filtering through the economy, and really, they can't keep trucks at car dealerships on the eastern side of Ohio, and so that's impacting some ancillary businesses. How there are small businesses that were struggling at one point and now are doing better because of the shale play, even restaurants and clothing stores and things like that. So I like to talk about the positive, and then people obviously always have questions about how we protect the environment. So
well, it's good. Well, it's good to know that you're available and would be go out to a presentation to really anybody, anywhere, anytime to talk about.
Yeah, if I can't do it, like I said, we'll find
somebody to do it. Yeah, that's good.
Maybe you.
Anyway, a third plug. That's good. As we, as we close out here, Rebecca, are there any final messages you'd like to leave with folks, whether it's from you or for API? I mean, just kind of put a nice bow on this whole conversation and kind of leave us with a final message.
I would just like to say that this is an exciting time for Ohio. It really is. Ohio has been struggling for many years. It's been struggling and has been losing jobs, has been losing population, and this is a great opportunity to bring jobs back to Ohio, to bring people back to Ohio, to give students who graduate here an opportunity to stay here and get good jobs. It's something that's going to be great for the economy and for the state as a whole, and I think that people have good, legitimate questions, and I think that we just want to make sure those questions get answered so that we can see this for the benefit that it really is for the state.
Well, that's good. Well, it's a great message in API, and you are a great resource here in Ohio, and it's a pleasure to be a partner with you in this adventure, and look forward to continuing that in 2013. So, well, thanks for joining us today. If you need any more answers to your questions, visit us at eidohio.org. Rebecca, thanks.
Sure, thank you.